Okay, good morning, children. 10th class student. We had completed political parties yesterday, and today we are going to start with a new chapter that is outcomes of democracy. Basically, you have to understand first of all the meaning of outcomes of democracy. Okay, the word outcomes means result of democracy. You have studied democracy in your ninth class. That is, what is democracy? Why is democracy? Then you had studied about the constitutional design. Then you studied about working of institution. Then you studied about elections, and finally fundamental rights. This was the basic conditions which should be there in democracy. Secondly, we came to a bit higher level in 10th class, and we studied what? Studied about power sharing. The first thing, power sharing. Okay. Then we had studied about federalism. That if democracy is there, it is bound to have what a federal government. Okay. Then your chapter was there. That is democracy and diversity, which we have not done this year. And gender, religion, and caste, which are certain divisions which keeps on existing in every country. Okay. That also has been deleted this year. Then we had done about the next chapter, that was popular studies and political parties. That is also a part of democratic government. Wherever democratic government is there, popular studies and movement will keep happening in that particular. Popular struggle and movement will keep on happening in that particular country. Is that clear? Okay. Now, then we have done about political parties which has been recently completed, and now we are going to take outcomes of democracy. That is, after studying so much, we have to measure the outcomes of democracy, or we have to measure the performance of democracy, how much it has done and how much it has not done. Okay, so therefore now when we see democracy, then we find that democracy might have achieved certain things, but then it has also been not successful in achieving other things. So what we are going to do in this chapter, that we are going to take certain expectations or certain outcomes. We are going to take some outcomes, which we call as, and on the basis of it, we are going to judge the performance of democracy. Say, for example, the first expectation can be accountable, responsive, and legitimate government. Then it can be economic development. Then it can be reduction of economic inequalities. Then it will be freedom of citizens. Then it can be also what do you say, dignity and freedom of the citizens and fundamental rights, or resolving the social conflict which keeps on happening in democracy. Okay. Okay, so we take, and then we are going to also see that what is our verdict, what is our judgment, whether our judgment has been positive or it is negative. And the result is this, that it is definitely positive. Okay, in spite of many drawbacks, it is still positive. Let us see the first thing. How do we assess democratic outcomes? Okay. Children, there was one chapter where the teacher was discussing with the students, and the students were saying that India is having democratic form of government, and yet we have not been able to achieve anything. We are lagging in, say, wealth. We are having poverty. We are having illiteracy. We are having undevelopment, and so many other things in our country. So what India needs is that India needs a strong leader. The teacher keeps on listening. This I'm talking of now ninth class, second chapter. Okay, the teacher keeps on listening, and then the teacher says that first of all, we should not accept anything just because everybody is running after. We should know the pros and cons. Okay. Secondly, democracy should not be considered as a magic stick, that you move the magic stick and the work is done. It's not like that. Anyway, if you ask any XYZ person, that what do you want? Where do you want to live? In a democratic country or in monarchy or dictatorship? The answer will be what? It will be, the answer will be that we will say, okay. Why? Because five things it assures everyone. Those five things are, first of all, it promotes equality among the citizens, first thing. Secondly, it enhances the dignity of the citizens. Dignity of the citizens, everybody gets one person, one vote, one value. Okay? So everybody is a citizen of the country. Then it improves the quality of decision making. Why? Because it is so much deliberated, it is so much discussed. Then it provides a method to resolve conflict. Democracy automatically maintains a kind of mechanism where problems are solved on their own. One side fighting, second side fighting. Government keeps on listening to both the sides. Finally, it calls both of them and then decides. Fifthly, it allows a room to correct a mistake. By this we mean to say, if we have elected the wrong person, we can easily remove him in democratic form. But if a dictatorship or monarch, we cannot do it. Okay, so we come to the conclusion that democracy is no doubt quite, say, popular form of government and assure certain things to the individual or citizen. Okay, on the other hand, children, what we find that people keep on criticizing democracy every now and then. Okay, say for example, all the wrong practices they keep on blaming democracy. That democratic government has been not able to do this, not able to do that. Okay, so this again brings forth one dilemma. Dilemma means we are on the verge of not understanding anything. Okay, what you say in Hindi as unsamanjasya. Okay, say for example, to this we say that when we talk of democracy, it appears to be very good in principle, but when it is theoretically applied, okay, practically when it is applied, it is what? It is unsuccessful. Okay, so we have to ask this question: are we preferring democracy for moral reasons, that just because we should have democracy, that is why we are having, or are we preferring democracy for prudential reasons? Okay, that is wisdom which we have done in our first chapter. Okay, now we are going to talk about the countries of the world. When we talk about the say, for example, if we take 100 countries of the world today, in today's time, what do we find? That these countries might be having, they might be practicing some or the other democratic practice. Okay? Say, for example, they might be holding elections, okay, they might be having a constitution, they might be guaranteeing certain rights to the citizens. Okay, as far as the social and economic conditions are concerned, it differs from countries to country. Okay, some country might be ahead in development, some country might be behind in development. Okay, so this again we are going to discuss that what can be achieved and what cannot be achieved. It is very much different from one democracy to another. Is that clear? Okay. Then, children, we are no doubt we are very much fascinated by this form of government, and our interest as well as our fascination, our madness. It shows us that we believe that democratic form of government is able to solve all our problems. Okay, but but just like I'm teaching you all, but yet we find that certain people get very good marks and certain people find it very, they keep on struggling to pass also. In the class also it happens. How the teacher teaches. Certain students are able to secure very good marks, whereas certain others are not able to secure very good marks. They find it very difficult to pass also. What I want to say over here is that, children, that no doubt we want democratic form of government, thinking that all are problems, but it is not like that. Democratic government, it just provides you a platform to develop your personality to the fullest extent. Okay, how much of the hard work you are putting, it differs from person to person. We are teaching you all how much of the hard work has been done by you. It differs from person to person. If you are very sincere and you are hardworking, you will get good marks. But if you are not hardworking and if you are not sincere, then you should not blame anybody else. You should blame yourself. So we have to understand that democratic form of government is just a form of government which provides everybody a platform to develop to their fullest potential. How much they are developing, that differs from person. Okay, now we are going to take our first criteria, that is accountability. This is the first criteria. We take what? Accountable. When we talk of we are talking of accountable, responsive, and legitimate government. When we talk of this, we are first of all, we are going to question that whether these conditions are fulfilled. The first condition, in a democratic government, the people have got the right to select their leaders. First thing, yes. Okay. Secondly, they can also control these leaders by form of voting. Thirdly, they also have got the right to participate in the decision making of the country. The answer is yes. Okay? You had studied in your ninth class that China, 3 crore people died in China when the condition of India and China was same. Why people died in China but not in India? Because the Indian government was accountable. So these three things, that is control, okay, people have got the right, plus people can participate in the decision making. This brings forth the concept that the democratic government is an accountable government. It has to be answerable to all its policies to the public, Okay, so yes, this condition. Okay. Secondly, we talk about one drawback. Say, for example, we talk of two norms or two expectations, that is efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. When we talk of democracy, that is democratic government efficient or is democratic government effective? The answer will be no. Democratic government is less efficient and less effective when it is compared to a non-democratic government. Say, for example, keep in your mind dictatorship. Okay, in dictatorship, the dictator does not have to listen to anyone, so he takes quick decisions. So it is very effective as well as efficient. But when we include the concept of cost over here, what do we find? That if the decision of the dictator is proven wrong, then whose money it is? It is the people's money because we are the ones who are paying. Okay, our money is wasted. So when we include these terms of cost, then we find that democratic government is no doubt it is less efficient, less effective, has delay also, but whenever the decision is taken, it passes through so many stages that there are very less chances of the decision to be wrong. Okay, so we can accept the concept less efficient, less effective. Okay, but when we include this term of cost, then it is better as compared to non-democratic. Now, we are going to talk of another thing, that is transparency. Transparency means that if the citizen wants to know that how the decisions are taken at the central government or at the state government, he can find it out. He can find it out, okay? He has the right and the means to examine this entire procedure. This concept is called as transparency, which is present in democracy but completely absent in a non-democratic. Is that clear? Okay. Next we are going to talk of practices and certain institutions. Children, you have to understand the meaning of institution. Institution does not mean any building of brick and mortar, but institution means, say for example, even your friends are an institution who teaches you to go on the right path or on the wrong path. Your school is an institution. Your family is an institution. Okay. School teaches you knowledge, family teaches you values. Okay. So these are all institutions which I think I had explained to you all earlier on. Here we are going to talk of certain practices and institutions. Say, for example, we are going to take certain. First is free, fair, and regular elections. Okay. Second is open public debate on major policies in democratic government. Okay. Third, we are going to take citizens' rights to information about the government and its functioning. If we take these three things, and if we judge the democracy on the basis of these three things, regular, free, and fair elections, okay, open public debate on major policies, and third thing, that is citizens' right to information regarding government's function. We find the performance of democracy is somewhat mixed. Okay? It is successful in certain things and it has failed in certain things. Let us see how. When we talk of open public debate regarding policy programs, yes, it does. When we talk of regular free and fair elections, yes, it does happen. But when we talk of citizens' right to find it out what is happening at the government or by the government, democracy is unsuccessful. Okay, so here it is a kind of mixed record. As far as sharing information with the citizens, but all we can say that in a non-democratic government or what I say dictatorial government, nobody pays any attention to all these things. In democracy, at least you are sure of certain. Is that clear? Okay. Next, we are going to talk of three more things actually. The first is needs and desires. Needs, desires, or aspirations of people, one thing. Has it been fully satisfied in democratic government? And the second is corruption. Okay. When we talk of needs, desires, and aspirations of people, we will find that it is everybody's right that if they have preferred democratic government, then democracy should address to their needs and to their demands. But the record of democracy is not impressive. Democratic government, we have seen, for example, that very often they just ignore the needs and the demands of the people and do what they feel is right, first thing. Secondly, when we talk of corruption, so it has not been successful regarding this. Secondly, when we talk of corruption, then we find that yes, democratic government is corrupt. Is that clear? But can anyone assure me that a non-democratic government is not corrupt? Corruption is there in China also, corruption is there in India also. So why not we prefer democratic government because it is given? Okay. The last point is there is one respect when we talk of accountable, responsive, and legitimate government, that is legitimacy. When we talk of legitimacy, then we find that as far as this is concerned, democracy has been passed in flying, what do you say, with great success. Okay, with great success, it might be now. What we can say for democracy is that it can be slow, it can be less efficient, it is not a clean government, it is less effective. Okay, it is not very responsive to the public's demand. Yet it is a legitimate government. It is that government which has been elected by the people of the particular country. Okay, and all over the world, what we find is this, that everywhere democracy is generating its own support. Say, for example, when we talk in China, what happens in China is this, that there the youngsters are wanting what? In spite of communist government achieving so much of development for Chinese, okay, yet the youngsters over there, they want democratic form of government. This shows that democracy can generate its own support on its own. Okay? This itself makes it a very popular. Is that clear, children? Till here we are going to do just now. Again, one more period we are having. What you all do is, children, till that time, before I begin the chapter, please read page number 91 and 92 just now. Okay?